everyone, my name is Eric Hopkins, aka Joe. Welcome to this week's WWE recap. Got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, so let's get right into it. Really good card for Smackdown this last week. Joe Tessitore interviewed Cody Rhodes to start the show, who built up the contract signing at Saturday night's main event with Kevin Owens, moderated by Shawn Michaels. Cody then stated that Kevin Owens always takes the easy way out and would need all the luck that he could get. I thought this was a great opening segment to Smackdown. Very professional, very athletic, like sports oriented, I should say. When it comes to like the presentation and stuff about like the big main event that's going to be coming up at Royal Rumble and the contract signing the following night at Saturday night's main event. So I thought Joe Tessitore did an absolutely great job here. More of this, please. I think Tessitore, however you say his name, does a great job in this element here. On the SmackDown, we also got the Motor City Machine Guns defeating Pretty Deadly. I personally haven't been too enamored with what's going on in the tag division on SmackDown as of late. I personally just don't care for Pretty Deadly, but however, by the end of the night on SmackDown, I was much more intrigued with the SmackDown division on the show. So we'll talk about that once we get to that segment here. But all in all, solid match here between the two tag teams. Motor City Machine Guns get the win here. We also had The Miz, who apparently is now a part of SmackDown. He's been moved over there via the transfer portal, and apparently Karrion Kross had a hand in it, at least Miz's assumption of that was the case. And of course the Miz immediately realized that the Wyatt Six is also on SmackDown. They've been moved there as well, and Miz is justifiably, completely terrified here. Nick Aldis rightly suggested that Miz needs to find some friends, and fast, and that's what the Miz ends up trying to do on the rest of this show with not much success. Kevin Owens came out to ringside and demanded to know where his interview was with Joe Tessitore. He even insulted Matthew McConaughey, who was seated at ringside, and even during his match later on, I loved how he was like, all right, doing stuff like that toward Matthew McConaughey. So it was really fun to see Kevin Owens just, having a bit of fun out there, much like you would normally see Kevin Owens or most of these professional wrestlers do on house shows and stuff. It was very cool to see on the television show itself here on the weekly recording. So that was really cool. This brought out Jimmy Uso. He come out and he said that Kevin Owens talks too much, and then he challenged KO to a match for later in the night. So that's the match we're going to end up getting before the end of the show here. So can't wait to review that here in just a minute. Carmelo Hayes was upset that Nick Aldis moved his rematch with Jimmy Uso to next week on SmackDown. So Nick Aldis set him up with another opponent, with another new member of the SmackDown roster via the transfer portal, and that is, of course, Damian Priest. I love this move because it gets Damian Priest far away from the Judgment Day. It's been time for a while now to just get him away from all that mess over there, and this is the perfect way to do it, starting him out on a brand new show moving forward to begin the year here. So I think that'll be great things for him moving forward. He even had a little moment backstage with Cody Rhodes in the back saying, I'll see you soon, champ. So, everybody's gunning for Cody Rhodes, and we'll talk a little bit more about him by the end of this recap show here. We got a Charlotte Flair video package where she announced that she's returning to WWE and also announced that she's entering the Women's Royal Rumble match. Not going to lie, I personally didn't like this. I personally have no problem with Charlotte Flair. She is a bit overexposed in the business, but she's had a long time off, so I'm going to be kind of glad to see her back on television. But I just kind of felt personally, especially as somebody who's actually going to the Royal Rumble in Indianapolis this weekend, I have tickets to go see that show. I would have much rather preferred to have this be a surprise in the Women's Royal Rumble match. So to just let the cat out of the bag, a week or so early and kind of taking away that surprise kind of sucks. Now, I think obviously we even mentioned it on the podcast last week. Me and Brandon talked about how we thought maybe we would expect to see Charlotte return. So it's not like a well-kept secret that she was going to be coming back at some point soon, but it would have just been nice for the countdown to happen. All of a sudden, Charlotte walks out with no knowledge or, other than just, presumptions that she would be there. So in a way, I kind of hate that they ruined that surprise. I don't like WWE ruining Royal Rumble surprises before we actually get to the event. So hopefully this will be one of the few that they actually do that with. Speaking of surprises, Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley made a surprise appearance on SmackDown where she interrupted WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton. Rhea said she respects what Stratton did to Nia Jax, but she's going to destroy her at Saturday night's main event. This brought out Nia Jax, Naomi, Bianca Belair, and another surprise appearing, from Monday Night Raw, and that brought, of course, I'm talking about Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. All these women announced they're entering the Women's Royal Rumble match. This ended in a brawl that set up a 6-woman tag: Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Naomi versus Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, and Liv Morgan. That makes 3 matches set up during this show alone that was unadvertised beforehand. I actually like that unpredictability of it, so that was really cool to see. But Liv Morgan gets the win in the 6-women tag over Bianca Belair. This set up a tag team match for Monday Night Raw this week, which we're going to review here in just a little bit, between Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Liv and Raquel. So I thought that was actually a really good setup. Plus, it also tells a greater storyline of Liv Morgan getting a pinfall victory over one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. So that's really good to see too. So that's pretty good booking. We got Apollo Crews defeating Johnny Gargano. Apollo Crews has been going around the locker room telling Pretty Deadly about what DIY has been doing and saying behind their backs. Motor City Machine Guns make an appearance at ringside and distract DIY, enabling Apollo Crews to get the roll-up victory over Johnny Gargano. Not gonna lie, Apollo Crews absolutely needed this win. He's ever since his days back under the Vince McMahon regime, Apollo Crews has just been taking loss after loss after loss. So Apollo's needed this. It sucks for Johnny Gargano that he had to lose, but it furthers the story of Motor City Machine Guns chasing DIY for the tag team titles here. So in that regard, it's really good booking. And Johnny Gargano will be just fine, no doubt about that. We got Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. They come out for Tonga's match versus LA Knight. LA Knight gets the win, but the Samoan Werewolf laid LA Knight out through the announce table following the match, which brought out Braun Strowman, who sends the former Bloodline members retreating, setting up the monster match at Saturday night's main event, which ended up being something, which we'll talk about in just a second. Miz was shown backstage trying to recruit A-Town Down Under to be his friends on SmackDown to hopefully have like a 6-man tag against the Wyatts going down the line, and it looked to be a done deal for these 3 being together, but Nick Aldis walked up and then said that A-Town Down Under has now been transferred to Monday Night Raw. So poor Miz, poor guy, just can't catch a break whatsoever. He started all this with the Wyatt 6, and now he's going to have to get his comeuppance for the most part from the sounds of things. We also got another video package with announcing Shinsuke Nakamura entering into the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match via a video package. This one isn't more like a surprise thing that they kind of ruined. Obviously, Shinsuke Nakamura is a member of the roster and has been on television as of late. He is the current United States champion. So, I had no problem with this announcement. It was more about Charlotte Flair being gone for so long and then them ruining the surprise return than it was the actual announcement in the Royal Rumble match. So, good to see Shinsuke in the match. I think he'll be a good addition, but he's not going to win. Let's be honest here. Damian Priest defeated Carmelo Hayes in his debut as a SmackDown superstar. Carmelo Hayes' rough go of it on the main roster continues. I'm rooting for Carmelo Hayes, but as I said on last week's recap, I'm just not feeling the guy who never misses gimmick continuing to miss on the main roster for me. I'm sure they'll turn it around with him, but Carmelo is very talented, but him losing all the time just is not helping his character right now. So I'm sure Carmelo Hayes will bounce back. He's got a load of talent, and I'm sure they'll use him correctly, but right now it's just not hitting for me right now. So good to see Damian Priest get a win here, as he definitely should be booked this way. We got Motor City Machine Guns telling DIY in the back in front of General Manager Nick Aldis that at the Royal Rumble, they'll be getting a Tag Team Championship match against DIY in a 2 out of 3 falls match. So again, as a guy who's going to the Royal Rumble in person, I know these 4 guys have the capability to have an outstanding match, and 2 out of 3 falls could be really fun. This could be one of those NXT black and gold type situations for the tag team championships that could actually absolutely steal the show. Obviously, the Royal Rumble matches are the marquee thing for this event, as well as the main event with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes in a ladder match. But these guys on the undercard could absolutely be something to actually kick off the night with a bang, so to speak, and actually have a good showing. So I expect DIY to retain here, but it could be a fun match all the same. Miz was trying to recruit Andrade in the back as Jimmy Uso was on his way to the ring. Andrade kind of, snubbed the Miz a little bit. Let's be honest here. He spoke some Spanish and then walked off. So no luck for Miz tonight on this show. But Jimmy Uso was on his way to the ring where he was jumped by his opponent next week, Carmelo Hayes. It was broken up by SmackDown officials, and Jimmy Uso just went to the ring for his match with Kevin Owens. So even Carmelo Hayes can't land a sneak attack right. I mean, Jimmy shrugged it off as if it was nothing. So poor Carmelo Hayes, he's like I said, he'll be fine, but it just kind of feels like lately whatever they're doing with him is just not clicking. I don't know, something with me maybe, but you guys may feel differently, but I just can't, I can't stand it right now. However, one might argue though that it was due to the Carmelo Hayes attack on Jimmy Uso that Kevin Owens was able to defeat Jimmy Uso in the main event. Jimmy Uso really didn't show any signs of injury from that attack, but either way, KO ends up getting a win here. Following the match, Kevin Owens tried to put Jimmy Uso in the package piledriver on the announce table. This led to Cody Rhodes coming out to make the save, as he usually does here with all the babyfaces in trouble with Kevin Owens as of late. And of course, that ends up ending the show with a brawl between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes that ends up setting up their contract signing for Saturday night's main event, moderated by Shawn Michaels. So yeah, let's get into Saturday night's main event as well, as it was also featured this last week over the weekend. Saturday night's main event was a star-studded event in San Antonio, Texas, with appearances by the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, Jesse the Body Ventura, Alundra Blaze, Mark Henry, Fluffy Gabriel Iglesias, Dory Funk Jr., Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard. And by appearances, I mean watched it ringside, outside of Jesse Ventura, who did do some commentary on this show. We start the show off with Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax for the Women's World Championship, a match when we talked about it on the Dragon's Den podcast this last week. We thought it was actually non-title, but at some point last week, WWE must have changed it before the event. Before the bout began, during Lillian Garcia's introductions, Nia Jax delivered a headbutt to Rhea Ripley to get the match underway. Hard work match by both ladies, but the finish came after Rhea muscles Nia Jax up to her finisher, the Riptide, and Nia Jax, gotta love that pinfall, no doubt about it, for sure. And she is still the women's world champion, but let's be honest, she wasn't ever going to lose the title this close to gaining it back. Rhea Ripley will most likely hold that title through WrestleMania, and potentially even beyond it at this point, but we'll talk about that once we get closer to the Royal Rumble segment on Monday Night Raw. Braun Breaker retains the Intercontinental Championship against Sheamus. Sheamus once again falls short of becoming the Intercontinental Champion. Breaker took advantage of Sheamus's bad ribs, hitting multiple spears to finish off the Celtic Warrior. But Jesse Ventura on commentary, for whatever reason, was absolutely obsessed with the fact that the referee counted 3 when Braun Breaker got his foot on the ropes. I understand that's kind of Jesse the Body's gimmick back in the day, back in the 80s. But Breaker clearly got his feet on the rope, and the ref did not count the 3 fall. But like we mentioned on the podcast, Sheamus is going to win the Intercontinental title at some point. I have no doubt about that. But it's most likely going to be a WrestleMania moment for him, potentially, at this year's WrestleMania. So be patient, Sheamus fans. The Celtic Warrior is going to get that Grand Slam at some point, no doubt about it. But it's going to be a bigger moment for him. Next up, we had the contract signing between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes for the Royal Rumble ladder match for the Winged Eagle Championship and the WWE Championship, moderated by San Antonio's own Shawn Michaels. Kevin Owens came out first, and I gotta say, Kevin Owens' T-shirt game is absolutely on point. He come out on Smackdown when he wore a Naomi shirt to wrestle Jimmy Uso. And for those of you who don't know, Naomi is Jimmy Uso's wife in real life. But then on Saturday night's main event, he wore a Cody Sucks Eggs T-shirt. I just got cracked up at it. Kevin Owens' T-shirt game has been on point for a lot of years, and it's absolutely continuing here. Cody came out second, and Shawn Michaels was all business and asked them both to sign the contract. Cody signs first, and Kevin Owens acted like he'd signed, but then grabbed a microphone. He whined and complained, and Cody tried to cut him off, but Kevin Owens continued. The Heartbreak Kid said Kevin Owens just sounded jealous, and Kevin Owens said Shawn is just jealous that Kevin Owens gave the Winged Eagle title belt more prestige than Shawn Michaels ever did back in those days. And he said that Cody would lose his smile at the Royal Rumble, a clear reference to Shawn Michaels' old promo back in the day when he had to take some time off. Shawn wished them both good luck, but Kevin Owens sucker punched Cody Rhodes and then attempted a package pile driver to Shawn Michaels, but was thwarted once again, like everyone KO has tried to pile drive as of late, by Cody Rhodes. Then Shawn Michaels hit a super kick on Kevin Owens. This is only going to drive Owens even more mad heading into the Rumble. So this was a very solid segment. A lot of fun, especially getting Shawn Michaels, who's doing a great job with creative over there on NXT from all accounts. And this was a very fun segment, kind of furthering the storyline heading into the main event of the Royal Rumble. After this, we got the Monsters matchup here. The Samoan Werewolf versus the Monster Among Monsters. Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman won by a disqualification, but this was in no way a victory for Strowman. Jacob Fatu went completely nuts and destroyed Braun Strowman here. It's hard to put it into words considering how big Braun Strowman is, but this Jacob Fatu went so insane that the match had to be thrown out. And WWE officials were trying to do everything they could to try and separate Fatu from ending Strowman's career here. This segment was so effective that the entire crowd was cheering for Jacob Fatu by the end of this. That segment may have just made another star. It was just insane. Multiple hip attacks, moonsaults, etc. Braun Strowman was bleeding from the mouth, and the Samoan werewolf has officially been unleashed. So, yeah, if you're not a fan of Fatu, this segment may have well just made you one. So, big things are coming for Jacob Fatu in the WWE, even if Solo Sikoa is not leading. In the main event of WWE Saturday Night's main event this last week, Gunther defeated Jey Uso and retained the World Heavyweight Championship in a match where Jey Uso gave Gunther everything he could handle. No one could come out of that match thinking Jey Uso is not ready for the big time. There's a reason why they call him main event Jey Uso. He made Gunther sweat, and that's no easy task. Gunther ended the match after kicking out of Jey's spear and splash, and then countered a spear into multiple power bombs. There's absolutely no shame in losing to Gunther here. Again, as we've mentioned before on the podcast, maybe Gunther will be toppled at WrestleMania and most likely will be there, and maybe they're setting up Jey Uso to be the one to do it. Time will actually tell, but as Michael Cole mentioned on commentary, Jey Uso's time will definitely come, just not yet, and when it does, it'll be all the more special. So good showing for the main event of Saturday Night's main event, as well as the show top to bottom on this special show on Saturday. So definitely looking forward to more of these Saturday Night's main events going forward. I think there's another one in May and there's one in July. The only one I have a problem with there is the one in July. It's scheduled for July 12th, the exact same day as AEW All In, which kind of comes off to me as a little bit petty on WWE's part. So, because there was really no need that they had to schedule it on that day, but they did that for a reason. Obviously, they're trying to do the thing where they're trying to counter AEW Collision a little bit on Saturdays anyway with the Saturday Night's main event shows and stuff like that too. So I just kind of wish WWE wouldn't do that because there's really no need for it. There's plenty of room for both companies in the wrestling industry, and even though Vince McMahon is not the leader over there anymore, this still feels a little bit petty on the company's part. So I just kind of wish they'd knock that off. But either way, great show for Saturday Night's main event, top to bottom. Monday Night Raw this week on Netflix opened up with Seth Rollins cutting a passionate promo about going on to win the Royal Rumble this week. Said he'd throw many guys over the top rope, but got a bit of a discourse from the crowd when he mentioned throwing Jey Uso out. I thought that was kind of interesting. Obviously, Jey Uso's mega over with the crowd, and anything going against him right now is going to draw some boos. Seth even mentioned Roman Reigns, who he's had issues with for years. Definitely mentioned CM Punk, who he recently lost to on Raw. He then got a bit ahead of himself as he began thinking about which champion he'd challenge at WrestleMania. This, of course, brought out World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. Gunther asked where Seth has been all this time while he's been main eventing Saturday Night's main event and defending his title. Gunther points out that Seth is no longer the best wrestler in the company anymore. That also brought out the debut of Logan Paul on Netflix, making his Raw debut. He came out to confront both Rollins and Gunther. Logan Paul then got nuclear heat from this crowd. They almost couldn't let him speak. It was hard to even hear him talk. He said this new Netflix era needs a new face, a face oozing with confidence. A loud "You suck" chant also broke out. But Logan said he's entering the Royal Rumble as well, and both Rollins and Gunther need to worry about a guy who's built a WWE career faster than anyone on the roster. Gunther said he'd love to face Logan Paul at WrestleMania to slap that smirk off of Logan Paul's face. I'd love to see that too, actually. Seth ended the opening segment by saying the only one who will be embarrassed is Gunther if they face off at WrestleMania. Good promo by all three guys here to sell the Royal Rumble on Saturday. So yeah, a lot of intriguing ways that this actually go at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, or the premium live event as WWE calls them. So I'm intrigued to see where all these storylines kind of mesh and gel together during one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year. Could be a lot of fun. Can't wait to watch it in person. We had CM Punk in the back. He was approached by Sami Zayn. They went face-to-face in the backstage area, and Sami Zayn said there's only one WrestleMania main eventer between he and Punk, and it's not Punk, referring to the main event of night one of WrestleMania 39, where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn wrestled the Usos for the tag team championships. I don't know. He's technically right, I guess, but to me, my personal opinion, the main event of WrestleMania is and always will be the last match on the big show, not the end of the first half of it on night one. Granted, we've had WrestleManias before with double main events and such, but the final match on the show, to me, whether it be two nights or not, is what I consider the WrestleMania main event. And in that case, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, they technically haven't main evented a WrestleMania. Just my opinion. I'm a bit old school that way, so you can take that for what you will. But I guess by WWE standards, main eventing night one is still considered a main event. There for a long time, Vince was always like, well, there's multiple main events on a WrestleMania show, even before the 2-night format. But to me, the main event has always been the final match on the card. Even CM Punk has said that in interviews in the past as well, which is why he was always mad that he got put on the undercard. He wanted to be in the main event. And by the end of this Monday Night Raw show, CM Punk may have just, he may be getting his wish at WrestleMania this year, getting the top billing at WrestleMania. So we'll have to wait and see, and I'll talk about that here in just a minute. Karrion Kross was also in the back as Sami Zayn walked away from Punk. He tried to get into his head about accidentally kicking Seth Rollins last week, saying it felt good, didn't it? Sami Zayn, being the great babyface that he is, though, said he didn't need this. So yeah, Karrion Kross, much like he did with with the New Day, kind of planting those seeds. He was planting those seeds with the Miz and stuff, and of course he kicked the Miz to the curb, and now he's kind of planting those seeds of, hey, you'd be better off on your own with Sami Zayn, and maybe we're getting that with Sami Zayn, kind of doing what's best for him, being more selfish. So we'll have to wait and see. But they're kind of definitely teasing about whether or not some of this stuff with Sammy kicking Seth Rollins last week was actually accidental. So we're going to have to just wait and see where that goes. We might even get a little bit more of a tease about maybe some of this stuff being accidental by the end of this show. So hang tight. We also had a really quick, brief moment where Cody Rhodes even stopped by, but Sami had a lot to think about, so he took off pretty quickly, leaving Cody to wonder about Sami Zayn, which is going to tie into the main event segment. We also got the War Raiders defeating Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough and retained their World Tag Team Championships. Not sure exactly what they did to deserve a title shot or why Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough even received a title match, but it's always fun watching Dominic get destroyed at the end of a match. So yeah, this was fun. Good for the War Raiders. Happy to see them as World Tag Team Champions on Monday Night Raw. They're not doing as much with the tag team division on Monday Night Raw as they are on SmackDown, so I'd like to see that kind of improve a little bit, maybe get the New Day involved and a few other teams, but yeah, would love to see them do more on the Monday Night Raw side. Next up, we had the New Day was even shunned by Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne backstage. You know that the New Day are hated when even the most dastardly heels think they're despicable. I mean, Xavier Woods said his family will be there tonight in his hometown of Atlanta. Atlanta's favorite son faces Rey Mysterio next on Raw. Thought that was a nice touch with the heels even hating the New Day for how they treated Big E. So no respect, as Rodney Dangerfield used to say, no respect. But Rey Mysterio defeated Xavier Woods. It was announced during this match that Zelina Vega is also leaving the LWO and has been moved to SmackDown via the transfer portal. So we've got all sorts of superstars moving back and forth. Hopefully they'll stay to their brands, though. Otherwise, get rid of the WWE draft. That's one of my biggest issues with this whole moving back and forth stuff. But for me, and they were, transferring people back and forth at the end of the year, which I don't mind if you want to shake things up at the end of the year, because it's like way after the draft happens, like after WrestleMania. You want to do that heading into WrestleMania season. I got no problem with that. But if you're going to keep going back and forth, just to stop the brand split. But if you're going to do a brand split, make sure you do so. But enough of my little rant there. Yeah, that'll be good to see Zelina Vega spread her wings individually with the talented ladies over there on SmackDown. But Rey Mysterio picked up the win over Xavier Woods in large part due to the distraction of Xavier Woods' family at ringside wearing New Day suck shirts. And Mysterio, being the savvy veteran that he is, took advantage. This serves the New Day right. These guys, I swear, the heat that they have right now, almost as bad as Logan Paul's earlier in the show, if not more so. Even their own families have turned on them. This is very fun writing, and it's very entertaining. So more of this, please. Seth Rollins confronted Sami Zayn backstage. Rollins said he understands that Sami kicking him last week was a mistake, but he says Sami needs to understand why people, including himself, could see potentially that as intentional. I'm going to predict this right now. Sami Zayn accidentally or intentionally eliminates Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble. I could definitely see that happening, setting up a match or a feud, maybe an Elimination Chamber, or even potentially WrestleMania between these two guys. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. Jey Uso was out next with Quavo in Yeetlanta. He said thanks for the support following his loss to Gunther at Saturday night's main event. He told Atlanta that he could beat Gunther. He said on Saturday he knows he needs to win the Royal Rumble on Saturday. I'm going to say, as someone who's actually going to the Rumble, like I said, I'd actually be totally fine with Jey Uso winning the men's Royal Rumble match and getting another shot at Gunther at WrestleMania, and finally giving Jey Uso his due with the world title on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania. So we'll see if they actually pull that trigger. I was kind of maybe thinking after this promo segment that may be where they're going, but after seeing the main event angle with Cody Rhodes and another superstar, I don't know exactly if they're going to go that route after all, but it could be interesting to see where they take this, all things considered, on all fronts. The Women's Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria was backstage, and she declared that she will be in the Women's Royal Rumble match, despite already being the Intercontinental Champion. But there's always World Championships to go after. Chad Gable and his crew walked up and said not to get too comfortable with the Intercontinental title, saying that Ivy Nile will be taking it soon. They also insulted the Alpha Academy as the segment ended. So Chad Gable just doing douchey things as he always does. After this, we had Liv Morgan, the match that was set up on SmackDown. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bianca Belair and Naomi. Dominic Mysterio, after being in the doghouse with Liv Morgan since Liv lost her championship, came out to distract Bianca Belair and Naomi. The distraction worked just enough for Raquel Rodriguez to get the upper hand on Naomi and Liv Morgan to get the win. By beating the women's tag team champions, a title shot appears to be in Liv and Raquel's future. So that's definitely going to be happening, probably coming up on Monday Night Raw or something in a few. I mean, I guess it could be added to Royal Rumble. We'll have to wait and see. But I would assume it's going to be on one of the Monday Night Raw shows in the near future. We had a Rhea Ripley interview in the back where she was approached by Bayley. Bayley mentioned she won the Royal Rumble last year, but Rhea Ripley seemed unfazed by this and welcomed the winner of the Rumble match at WrestleMania. Io Sky also walked up to tell Bayley that she'll see her on Saturday, so the no love lost there between those two ladies for sure. A lot of teasing of possible confrontations and feuds potentially beginning at the Rumble on this Raw show, so definitely setting that table, as it were, for the pay-per-view. We also got a video package with Penta where he declared himself for the Men's Royal Rumble match. So we're slowly getting all the entrants for the big Rumble matches coming up on Saturday. And we'll definitely be going over all those as well as, like I said earlier in the night, we also got the announcement of Logan Paul also declaring for the Men's Royal Rumble match. So we'll be going over all of this in our Royal Rumble predictions on the Dragon's Den podcast this Friday night live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope you guys will check that out as we do our Rumble predictions on that show. Paul Heyman walked out next. The Wise Man unveiled the cover art for the new WWE 2K25 video game. I believe that was the announcement they had planned for the 28th, and the release date for the game is probably, I'm assuming it's probably not going to be till like March or April, but it's usually in the spring. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think there's a release date just yet, but here is the official cover art. The OTC Roman Reigns will be this year's cover superstar. Heyman says Reigns is going back to the mindset of one versus all in this year's Royal Rumble. He says everyone will be gunning for Roman Reigns, but he talked up Reigns as all good advocates do. This brought out Drew McIntyre, who's blamed the Bloodline individually over the last few months for his shortcomings. A showdown with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre appears to be in the future. Drew McIntyre says he's the daddy of the bloodline. He claims he deserves a thank you from Paul Heyman because Drew says, look, Heyman, look, you're on the bottom of the cover of the game too, right there next to Roman Reigns' shoe. And he says that's all thanks to Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre then went on to have a match with Sami Zayn where he defeated Sami Zayn after Sami went for a haluva kick, but Drew moved out of the way and then rolling Sami up and used the ropes for leverage. Drew McIntyre attacked Sami Zayn further after the match as Sami was arguing his case to the referee. Cody Rhodes came out to make the save, which seems to be a lot of what Cody Rhodes does as of late. He cleared the ring of Drew McIntyre, but Kevin Owens showed up to attack Cody. It became 2-on-1 with McIntyre and Owens versus Cody. Sami Zayn attempted to help and hit Drew McIntyre with a haluva kick, but just like last week when he hit Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn drilled Cody Rhodes this time with the kick instead. Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre seemed pleased. Sami Zayn could be going heel here, and could he potentially help Kevin Owens win at the Royal Rumble as Kevin suggested he would last week? Or he could just be feigning, the act here. It could just be him lying. So we'll have to wait and see. But I would like to think that Sami Zayn's not going to do that. But if he does, it would be a great heel turn. It's not something Sami Zayn normally does, is play the heel because he's such a great babyface. But potentially, maybe he does help Kevin Owens win the world title at Royal Rumble, or at least attempts to, and maybe Cody could thwart him. Because I just don't see Cody Rhodes losing the belt until at least WrestleMania, having that year-long run with the title. We'll have to wait and see. Cody Rhodes, after the kick, was in the ring and cutting a promo on how important being the champion is. CM Punk came out and said it looks like the pressure of being the champion may be getting to Cody Rhodes. And in Cody's face, you can clearly see that during this promo. He's been hitting it so hard almost every show for months. CM Punk talks about the grind of being the champion. He knows because he's been there. Punk said that as the weight of the championship weighs the champion down, a new challenger is always on the rise. He said the good news is someone is going to finally take that burden and the title away from Cody. The bad news is that even though he is a friend of Cody Rhodes, the person to take the title will be CM Punk himself. Cody said growing up, guys like Cody was always chasing guys like Punk, but now Punk is chasing Cody. The irony. Cody Rhodes says he wants Punk to win the Rumble because Cody wants to see the look on Punk's face when he finds out the best in the world isn't the best in the world anymore. This was brilliant. I don't know exactly what the plans are for WrestleMania just yet because there's so many different moving parts and different possibilities, but this was so good. This needs to be the main event of WrestleMania 41, I think, in my opinion. There was drama, there was heat, there was everything you could ask for in a WrestleMania main event match. Great promo, great character work, great stuff all around. Now, like I said, we're going to be, previewing the Royal Rumble pay-per-view itself on the Dragon's Den podcast this Friday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully you guys will join us there as we discuss every single match and break down our thoughts and predictions. But a little sneak peek into my thoughts on who's going to be winning the Men's Royal Rumble match. Based on the way this show ended, I think it very well could be CM Punk. I would love to be surprised because I hate to go into the live show in person knowing exactly what's going to happen, but at the same time, it does seem to make the most sense based on where they're going with all of this, and of course the storyline of CM Punk getting that main event match he never got. So I think that's what's going to happen. So that's just a little sneak peek. Thank you for checking out this video. If you like what you saw here, please consider checking out our live podcast almost every single Friday night here on the channel at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And until our next video, guys, take care and God bless.